guys, it's D and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be reacting to Season 1, Episode 7 of House of the Dragon. I believe this episode is called Driftmark. Before we do that, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my subscribers, all of my viewers, for the views and everything. I really appreciate it. People seem to be really liking my Vlogmas, which I will put a link in the description down below. So those are getting a lot of watches, which I really appreciate. So thank you very much. Let's do a recap of last week's episode because a lot happened. Rhaenyra had children. It's been a 10-year time jump, which I was expecting, and at the same time I wasn't expecting. So Rhaenyra had her now third child with Laenor Velaryon, Jacaerys, Lucerys, and Joffrey, which I think Laenor did that out of spite. That's how I'm going to look at it. He did that out of spite. So she's had her children, her 3 boys. Alicent has had her 3 children, although in the opening sequence you see 4 lines, so I believe there's a 4th child. We just haven't seen him yet. Kristen Cole is still alive. Don't know how that, well, we know how that happened. It's because Alicent vouched for him and saved his life, and she holds his secrets close to her chest, so that totally makes sense. And it's interesting that I don't think they had decided, or Laenor had decided, on the name Joffrey until they were walking to the Queen's room, and he just is standing there as bold as brass. And so when Viserys, who we'll get to him in a minute, asked about the name, Laenor's just like, Joffrey. Viserys is still alive. That new maester, whatever he's doing, it's working. Yes, they have to take his arm off. You know, that kind of happens when you have leprosy. You lose limbs. And he's looking like the Crypt Keeper, but, you know, he's still got his energy. He's still alive. Still has his wits about him. Hasn't completely deteriorated. Rhaenyra's boys have their dragons now. The one we saw in the dragon pit. I didn't remember the name when I was doing the video, but it is Vermax, who, you know, he's learning how to do the commands and everything, which is really cool. Aegon's kind of a dummy. Not a dummy. I shouldn't say a dummy. That's the wrong word to use. He's just being a teenage boy, just, you know, picking on his brother, doing some inappropriate stuff. And, you know, when his mother came to talk to him about how he was treating his brother, she was like, you know, we're family, we need to, like, you know, stick up for each other. When out in public, you can be mean or poke fun at him behind the scenes, but in public, in front of people, you need to be that older brother. And then, you know, she's, you know, threatening him, not really threatening him, but like telling him that he is a threat to Rhaenyra. And he's like, I won't challenge that. And she was like, you are the challenge. By being alive, you are a challenge. And he just doesn't seem to care, you know, like, that's his older sister. He knows that's the heir, so he's not really going to push. I want to see that develop as he gets older, and how she kind of manipulates her children, really, to turn against Rhaenyra and her children. That's going to be an interesting development, I think. What else? Daemon and Laena in Pentos. Dorne is not part of the Seven Kingdoms yet, so they're kind of wreaking havoc along with the Triarchy and the Stepstones. And Lenor wants to go back to the Stepstones because that's where he was fighting back in episode, I believe, 3. Um, and the Prince of Pentos wants Damon and his family to stay. Damon's got 2 girls, and Lena is pregnant again. However, that pregnancy, the baby just didn't want to come. And instead of being like, cut it out, I want a son, he doesn't want to lose his wife. He doesn't want to lose his son, which I respect. And she knew that she wasn't going to survive. So she goes out to her baby granny Vagar and asks Vagar to, just end her suffering. And Vagar reluctantly does. So we're going to see the repercussions of that and the consequences of that decision play out in this episode. That's about it. Caraxes is big and beautiful. I love Caraxes. That's my boy. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone together. Seeing the second generation of Targaryens come together. Because if we know the story, we know what's going to happen. However, seeing everyone together, seeing them be a family, is going to be an interesting dynamic. Rhaenyra also suggested that her oldest son marry Alicent's daughter, which, again, would have ended the conflict, or not made the conflict so dire, and Alicent's just not having it, which I think is hilarious. What else? Oh, Larry's strong. That boy can go jump off a cliff. I don't like him. And people are like, oh, he's like a Littlefinger, and he's like a Varys, and, all that stuff. But it's just, compared to how Otto was, Otto doesn't seem bad as what Larys has done. He's basically a kinslayer. In that time, he's a kinslayer by doing what he did with his family, doing what he did to his family. It's just not okay. And Alicent was actually horrified. And, she's like, I didn't want this to happen. I just wanted my father to be able to come back. And he's like, well, that's what I did. And so you better go send a raven to your dad. So I believe that we will see Otto in this episode. And we're going to be on Driftmark because this episode is called Driftmark. So I'm looking forward to it. Nothing I can think of off the top of my head. This last episode was just crazy. There was just so much going on. Helena. Oh, yeah. I believe Helena is a dreamer because she did say something about someone losing an eye, because when Alicent was talking to Aemond about, yes, you'll get a dragon, she doesn't understand her obsession with why her kids want dragons, but Targaryens, to claim power, you need to have a dragon. That's why they consider Viserys is so weak, is because he's never claimed another dragon. I believe because he has motion sickness and doesn't want to fly, but, he could just not want another dragon. She said something about him losing an eye to gain a dragon, which I think is very symbolic. And if for those who know the story, you know what happens. I believe we are going to get another time jump, maybe like 5-6 years in upcoming episodes. We shall see, because they're young right now, but we're going to see them older because we have to get to the real action in the story. So that's going to definitely happen this season. I saw someone say, they're like, oh, when do you think the king will pass away? And I think it has to be the middle or end of this. We're past the middle of this season, so it's going to be toward the later end, because I do know the names of the episodes, And the last episode is a big clue to when Viserys will pass on. So that's going to be an interesting thing because when he passes, it's a war of words before action really happens, and there's one particular event that happens, and I'm not gonna say what happens or where, because that will be a spoiler for those who don't know the story. But for those who do, there's a particular event that happens that takes it from, we'll give you this to do this, and we'll do this, or bend the knee for that. Takes it from words and scrolls being sent back and forth to just full blown war. And so I don't know if they're going to end the season with that event, or if that event will be the episode 9, because there's always a big thing that happens in episode 9, and then you see the fallout in episode 10. I don't know if what's going to happen is going to happen in episode 9, or if they'll move that to episode 10. Either way, I've been loving this show. It's been off the charts, 9 point something, 10, 8 point something stars across the board for pretty much every single episode so far this season. There will be an episode or season 2, so I'm looking forward to that for sure. And I think I've been seeing news saying that they might do 3 seasons, or maybe could push it to 4. If they do push it to 4, I would like to see the end of the war, and then who ends up on the throne at the end. I'm not going to say who. I know who, but I'm not going to say because it's a spoiler. I'd like to see the person end up on the throne at the end. And then that could be 4 seasons, and that's that story pretty much complete. However, they are going to be keeping the same name, House of the Dragon, and they're just going to be going to different points in the Targaryen history. So right now they're dealing with the Dance of the Dragons. They may go back and do Aegon's Conquest, 2 seasons of that, because it's a very much solidified story, not much changes. They can go and do some Blackfire Rebellion stuff, which would be really cool. They can do, this is just my thoughts and opinions, they can do everything before Rhaegar Targaryen was born, because there was stuff going on there that included like the Brackens and the Blackwoods and Aegon the Unworthy, and the king wanted his children to marry certain people, but they didn't want to marry those people, so they married other things that made the king have to rearrange his whole plan and idea. One thing I can think of is, and I believe it was season 3, Olenna Tyrell was talking to Marjorie about how she was supposed to marry a Targaryen. So I would love to see like a younger Olenna Tyrell meeting her Targaryen prince, her betrothed, and just being like, that's not gonna work. So then she ends up, marrying another person, who ends up being Marjorie's grandfather. That kind of thing, like the different Targaryen histories from after the dance up until Robert's Rebellion. They could just, it could be the same show, and it would be a lot of seasons, but every 3 or 4 seasons would be a completely different story, which I think is really cool. Anyways, that's just me rambling. Let's get into this episode, season 1, episode 7, called Driftmark. Super, super excited. Let's get into it. I'll be taking notes, and then we can come back and discuss when the episode is done. Okay, here we go. Still skipping intros. Let's see what's changed this week. Oh, okay. Come through, dragons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I counted 5 dragons.
Returning to the Riverlands.
Love that.
Karen's curse is said to be as strong now as it was after the conquest.
Let's go.
Oh. Okay, Amond. Get it, boy. I'll give you points for bravery. Okay. Strap in, boy. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. Stunning. Yes. Hold on. We did that. Okay. Props to my man Amen.
Kids, wake up. Wake up. Someone stole Vega.
Woo! Wow.
Get away!
Children be fighting.
Enough!
We know, Father. Everyone knows. Just look at them.
There is a debt to be paid. I shall have one of her son's eyes in return.
Woo!
My dear one.
Nope.
Ashton, stay with the king! Hold your ground!
Where is duty? Where is sacrifice? It's trampled under your pretty foot again.
Release the blade, Alice.
And now you take my son's eye. And to even that you feel entitled. Exhausting, wasn't it? Hiding beneath the cloak of your own righteousness.
Oh!
But now they see you as you are.
I should have been there.
They should be our house words.
I have fought.
That's funny. Ah, there's the scene. 3 dragons. Love it. Holy.
And the realm will whisper that I was somehow responsible.
Jesus.
Let me whisper.
How did you let this happen? With my fucking all! Tell me!
We all know the truth of it, and our enemies won't.
Wow.
Feel what else we might be capable of.
Wow. Okay. Whoa! 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 What? What? Holy crap. Okay, so just finished watching Season 1, Episode 7, Driftmark, and boy oh boy, did a lot happen. This episode was only about an hour long, but man, it was just jam-packed with a lot of stuff. Had notes, so let's go. We open with Lena's funeral, which was a very somber, sad occasion. Otto is back as Hand of the King, which, you know, that's his pride and joy. That's his job. That's what he loves to do. Aegon is to marry Helena. And Helena was saying a lot of, like, prophetic stuff about dragons. She was saying it so fast that I couldn't quite catch what she was saying. So if you guys in the comments below know what she was saying, please let me know down below. Larys is Lord of Harrenhal, and Alice knows what he did, so she's a little uncomfortable around him. We'll get back to that at the end. Viserys notices there's a lot of tension. A lot of tension with everyone. Laenor is a mess. He's drunk. He's lost his sister. I know how that feels. Losing a sibling is extremely difficult, so I sympathize with him and I get it. Viserys wants Daemon to come back, and Daemon's like, nah, I'm gonna go over to Pentos and live over there. He doesn't want to come back. Viserys has no love for Alicent whatsoever. In the last episode, we saw that he was still crying over Aemma's ring because he misses her, because he married her when he was 17, and by this point I think he's close to like 40 or above. And so, you know, they were married a long time and went through a lot together. So I understand he feels an attachment to her. Aegon got drunk. He was just a mess because he just didn't want to be there. I counted 6 dragons because Caraxes is there, Vhagar is there, Meleys is there, Sunfire I think is there, Sea Smoke is there. What's another one? Maybe Vermax is there? No, Dreamfire. Because when the king was leaving, we saw 3 dragons leave. We saw Vhagar leave, beautiful scene. We saw Dreamfire leave, and we saw, I'm assuming it was Dreamfire and Sunfire that left, because 3 dragons left, and we know the 3 dragon riders are the children. So it's Vhagar is the rider of Aemond, or Vhagar's rider is Aemond. Aegon has Sunfire, and Helena has Dreamfire. Rhaenyra and Daemon on the beach. That was a little weird, but again, the end of the episode they kind of just do their thing. I noticed in their moment that Daemon has some scars on his body, right shoulder, like right over here, and I think it was from the War of the Stepstones when he was getting shot with those arrows. I think those burns are from that. Aemon claimed Vhagar. Guys, that was such an amazing scene. He knows all the commands for, you know, serve and to stop and to fly and all that stuff, because he's seen his nephews do it. He's seen his brother and his sister do it. So he knows what to say and how to react. So seeing him with Vagar, big old Granny Vagar doing her thing, he knew how to command her to say certain things, and the flight that he had with her was just beautiful. Granted, Vagar probably should have gone to one of Lena's children, and they addressed that, the kids, because the girls go and wake up Jace and Luke, and the girls, Bela and Reyna, go out to confront him. And they're like, oh, it's just Aemon. And Aemon's like, yeah, it's me. Um, and they got into a fight. Like, all four of them against him. He's a strong kid. Chuckles. He's a strong kid. He knew how to defend himself and how to fight. Props to Kristen Cole for teaching him how to fight, although Kristen Cole was, whatever. But yeah, that was crazy. I was not expecting that. And so Jace and Luke, they team up and take his eye out. And then the fight in the Hall of Nine. Whew, I saw Aemon, because he was gonna say, like, he looked to his mother when Viserys was like, who did you hear these rumors from? And then you saw him look at his mom, but then he goes, Aegon. And Aegon's like, what? Aegon's hungover drunk, doesn't know which way is the sun. And so he's like, everybody knows, look at them. And so then Viserys is like, anyone who says that they're bastards, like, they're going to have their tongues removed. Larys' specialty. And then Alicent's like, I need an eye. Like, eye for an eye. I need an eye. And she goes and grabs Viserys' dagger and, like, goes after Rhaenyra. Listen. And then she cuts her. Oh my goodness. Whew. So Luke ended up having a broken nose. The maester fixed. And Aemon's like, it's fine. I lost an eye, but I gained a dragon. And then when Otto and Alicent are talking, Otto's like, he gained a dragon. Like, having a dragon that size on our side, yes. Poor Laenor came in. He was drunk off of his booty, and he was just like, I'm so sorry. Like, I want to be a better husband. Like, I just want to be there for you and be there for the boys and just really go in and do my job full time, which he should have been doing all along, but he's been distracted. And then Rhaenyra is just like, to her uncle, she's like, I need you at my side when I take on the Greens, which is the first time I've heard her refer to them as the Greens. She's like, oh, take on Alicent or take on her boys or whatever, but she's like, to take on the Greens, which is interesting because it's the Greens versus the Blacks. So for her to say, like, I need your help to take on the Greens is very thing to say. Very good, like a very noteworthy thing to say. So then Daemon goes to Laenor's lover, like, oh, I need you to do like a quick death. And I honestly, like, when him and Laenor were fighting, I was like, this is not gonna end well. And then you see Corlys and Rhaenys come in, and there's a body in the fireplace, and I was like, oh my gosh. And poor Rhaenys is just screaming. She's literally just lost 2 of her kids. And then you see the boyfriend running on the beach toward a boat, gets in, starts rowing away. Starts rowing away, and the person who's rowing is Laenor with all his hair cut off. I was like, that's subverting expectations right there. Like, that's how you do it. You let people think like this happened, and then you pivot, and that happens. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then Rhaenyra and Daemon marry at the end of this episode. Fantastic. Great. Also, I think Viserys might leave this next episode. He is not looking good. And listen, between his brother, his daughter, and his wife, and now his children, these people are determined to put this man in the ground. Like, they do not want him around. Poor Viserys, like, he ain't looking good. He ain't holding on too well. And Laris comes up and is like, if you want an eye, I can get you an eye. And she's like, no, that's not necessary. However, I'm gonna need you to do some more, like, undercover stuff. Like, so hold off. Like, keep your minions at bay for a moment, and I might need you in the future. Great episode. Great episode. Like, I am thoroughly pleased by this episode. This was not what I was expecting. This was just absolutely fantastic. Like, I would rate this out of 10, probably a 9.5. Like, this was really good. Like, and the way Vhagar landed when he landed in the courtyard, I was just like, oh my goodness. Because Granny Vhagar's big, and she's old. It takes a lot to get her going. It takes a lot to get her down. I gotta give props to Aemon, man. He held his ground, he got his dragon, and he defended himself. Alright, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What you think of this episode. What were your favorite moments? What was your standout moments? Oh my gosh, like, the longer this goes on, the better it seems to get. And I am thoroughly invested in this show. Peace out, guys. Till my next video.